Morning, afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to do a quick fast blast about the Shaun Attwood channel getting taken down because I just spoke to James Esposito, who works for him, and so he doesn't want to come on and talk about it, but basically it's the film that Shaun Attwood recently put out was called Hidden Shadows. And this film basically was about VIP paedophile rings, and it seems that somebody made a complaint. Well, many people made complaints, and so it basically crashed his channel. So I don't know who those people were. He's now appealing, and it might go back up. He does have his channel, True Crime Podcast. It's got less subscribers, and I don't know if all his videos are on there, but this is what's going on right now. So I just thought I'd do a quick podcast about that. Because I was filmed by James Esposito last week, in Richmond Park, in the Exorcism of Cali Diamond video. I was talking about the gin, and so I just thought, it's a good contact to ring and find out what's going on. Also, somebody told me that Miles Johnson's Basis Project channel has gone down, and I checked, and indeed he seems to be operating from his second channel. So that's another channel that has gone down. It's quite interesting that a lot of channels seem to be, going. It is, I, as somebody that's been sexually abused themselves and grew up in an adoption home that, was, my adoptive father was a paedophile. People often say, why didn't you tell? Why didn't you go to the police? And, I hope people are realizing now that it's a lot more difficult than people that haven't been sexually abused as a child think that it is. It's not a question of going to the police, even when you're older, because it's almost like, okay, when you're a kid, then your parents are the captains of the ship, and they're the ones driving the train, and you're merely sitting on the train as a passenger. So going to the police rather shakes up everything. There's a lot of things that your parents can do against you, even if you're not living in the home. They can gather the whole family, cousins, etc., to act, as an army against you, to discredit you. There's a whole, you get cut off from them if you're in a bad car accident and you want to reach out for somebody, even if they're bad, for some kind of sentimentality. You can't do that. So it is a whole smorgasbord of things that don't allow people that have been had this horror perpetrated on them, can do. And they often get frowned upon because they don't go to the police. But I hope people are realizing now, it's not an easy thing to expose. And deep down, I think people that have been through that know that going to the police won't really mean anything, because it does seem to be like there's a kind of paedophile club, or perhaps a rapist club, that they just stick together. It's like complaining about mechanics. I complain to another one about another one, and they stick together, and they close shop, and they tip each other off about, what somebody might be coming against them. So this is pretty much like a club, and it does have people that are in positions of power. So sometimes I think it's a bit naive if people put up their, especially on their YouTube channels, it's someone else's platform, it's YouTube's, so it's owned by somebody else, and if they don't like what you're saying, or, powerful people come to them, they're powerful people that own it, and they say, look, I'll do this to you if you don't get rid of this and this. And, so it's not a free platform. It's a platform where you have to watch what you say. It's rather like going around someone's house and starting shouting out their windows. You have to be careful what you say, because sometimes they might say, hang on, I don't like you shouting that out my window. So that is the way it goes. It could be for many different reasons. It doesn't have to mean that everyone that's in control of us right now is a paedophile. I don't think it does. But it means that sometimes people are scared. Even people in positions of power are scared of maybe they will have something, taken away from them. So it's not always easy, and it's not always easy for these boys that have been in care. I grew up in the care system. I was a girl, and I saw the boys were taken places. The boys were raped by the social workers. It seemed to me that boys in care are a massive target, even more than girls in care. They didn't touch us. Well, I wasn't touched, and I know my friends in care, we weren't touched. It was rather odd, rather an odd situation. But the boys are targets, and it's something that really brings me a great sadness whenever I hear boys talking, as men now, what they've been through. I know how it feels, and how the boys that I witnessed suffering all became suicidal, all didn't have lives, and it really absolutely destroys them. And it should be death penalty, really, for people that use these children as if they're non-human, as if it doesn't matter, and all this, oh, they're illegitimate, they're bastards, it doesn't matter if they use them like animals. That word should be outlawed now in society. And all that, oh, you're not proper if you were born out of wedlock. I mean, how many youngsters these days are getting married before they have sex? It's something that should be outlawed, and it's something that allows these perpetrators to treat kids in care in this way, as if they're not human, as if they're not proper children. All this, oh, you're legitimate, or you're not legitimate. What does that mean exactly? And it just allows this to go on. So that's all I wanted to say really about it. And just, for people that have their own channels, not to be naive around things, because, it's like we have to realize right now that people that have control of the planet are anti-humanity. You only have to watch Netflix, American Horror, the series Apocalypse or the series Coven to see how, there's lots of attacks on the human body, attacks on what humans are, that I believe that it's non-human in control right now, that it's non-human, whatever they are, perhaps the shining ones, whatever, but it's definitely non-human entities. And I do believe that the people at the top that are human are allowing them to come into them. So they're like hybridizing themselves with them. But it's definitely, you can tell it's anti-human and anti who we are by watching programs like this, and you see the utter desecration of what is human. And I personally believe we should all magic up and start, getting doing our own magic, because that's what they are. That's what they do. They're fifth dimensional. No, they're not fifth dimensional beings. We're fifth dimensional now. They are multi-dimensional. And we can't just sit here like guinea pigs in a cage. I believe we have to make ourselves multi-dimensional. We have to, we've been given an opportunity to go into the fifth dimension. I think we have to, rather than seeing ourselves in the third dimensional, which is kind of a separate consciousness, to grow ourselves into a fifth dimensional, which is unity consciousness, and not all attack each other, all become as one, all become more in unity. There's so much dog eat dog going on right now, and I think those that are dog eat dog will remain down in the third dimension while the rest of us rise up. So there's an opportunity now to rise up, as long as we start treating each other with more kindness. But it is naive to sort of believe that we're being driven in a bus, which we are. This planet is moving, it's spinning. That which is driving it is not on our side, so it could basically drive us anywhere. Somebody made a comment as if I'll see you all on the trains, and it is all a little bit like that. But we've got to remember that the bodies, whatever they might do to our bodies, the bodies aren't us. We're souls, and we're going to go on. We're going to go into our astral body. They have got a little bit of control on the astral too, but we've also got the mental and the causal bodies. We can rise and rise higher and rise out of this reincarnation cycle that we've been trapped inside. And this opportunity is coming, but those that are going to be left behind are going to be left behind. So I think we should, with all this, like, oh, we're going to expose this one, expose that one, we should realize that, when we're doing it, get your own little bit of the internet to do it on, not do it on someone else's platform, because they might have connections with this or that, and it might not always work. And then if it doesn't work, then the rest of all your work might, basically, might basically hit the deck. So there are ways of doing it, and kids that have grown up in houses of parents that have been, mine whipped the back of my legs weekly. So they were like, the flesh was rooched and burning. My father used me for sex, and I knew I couldn't, you know, put a big poster up in the window, these bastards are whipping me and sexually abusing me. Or I couldn't shout it out the window. I had to play clever, you know, I had to bide my time until the time came when I was an adult, and I wrote a book about it, and I handed it to my mother, and there you go, and I handed it to the neighbours. You have to, you know, bide your time. You have to be crafty if you're in a position like that. And we are actually in a position where we're in a house that is not only abusive, but it's by beings that don't care about us, that haven't got our best interests, that rather we weren't around, that use us as slaves, but rather we weren't around. And kids that grew up in abusive households, they've lived that. They've already been through that. It's kind of blown up. So now it incorporates the whole world is like that. It's run by people that are like abusive parents. They don't want us. They don't care about us. They'd rather we leave. They want us dead, basically. And all we can do right now is creep around and hope that they allow us to live and be crafty. Be crafty about it. Bide one's time. Realize the position we're in right now. It's not free. We haven't got free speech. We haven't got any kind of freedom. But there are crafty ways around things. There really are crafty ways around things. And also getting messages out to help people, you know, in what we can do rather than concentrating on, look at that, it's bad, it's bad. We know this planet's rotten to the core. We know that when kids come here, unless they're protected by loving families, that they just get trashed, they get abused, they get trodden on. And it's not good. You know, this planet is not a nice place. It's not a safe place. We won't change it now. It's coming to an end. It's end times. And all we can do is join hands with each other and rise out of it, you know, and just kind of let go of our physical bodies and rise up to the fifth dimension of consciousness and find a new life up there, because it is closer to God. And this physical world is, it's bad. It's always been bad, but it seems to have got to a pitch right now. And little children suffering and little children not being safe when they're born into this place means it should go, means that end times are a good thing, that, you know, it's not a good place. And I think everybody partakes in that. Everybody partakes in it by, you know, calling children that aren't born to marry people bastards or illegitimate and all that kind of shit. What's that mean, you know? So we all take part in it. You know, none of us are going now to the local kids' homes or the local borstalls and giving things and, you know, taking care of these children that nobody else wants, nobody else cares about. We don't care. We care about our own families, our own blood. And this is the selfish world that we're in. It's not a good world. It's not. The systems that are here are not good systems. So it's good. It's end time. So all we have to do is cling to God and just rise up and not concentrate too much on this exposing, because it does say in the Bible that God says vengeance is mine. You know, these people will have darkness visited on them. These people that have plucked these boys out of care homes, they really will be crushed. They can't rise up. They can't rise up at all. But come the time when we're ascending, they will go like cockroaches and just their shells. There's nothing there. There's no soul. They'll just be crushed like cockroaches. They'll just see the crunching, and that'll be them. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere near God. So there's no need to think about them. But I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy for these boys that have been, you know, treated in this way and had their entire lives ruined. I know my entire life ruined by my father took my sexuality, this ugly pig of an individual who was into little girls, and went to adopt one. That's handy. I have one on pat like a whore. And I acted out the whole role throughout my life and never had a man, never really made love, never been in that position. I'm too old now, so that is what these people do. And somebody said to me recently, you know, your father's tethered, you know, in the astral, and forgive him. It was hot. I did, but, you know, I trust God. God won't let him rise. God will send him back down, and, you know, he will have to experience. You know, the other day I had £3,000 ripped off me from a piece of shit that conned me about my car, didn't, you know, and it could be dangerous. It could set fire. I drive my child in that. And the anger and rage I feel towards this individual is untotaled, really. And did I want to do magic to write that? Yeah, I did. I haven't right now. I might well do, just to kind of reverse all that darkness. that was given on me. I don't know, I'm praying around it. But this is the world we live in. We do have to, in certain points, hand it over to God and say, God, you know, I do hate. God, I am in pain. God, there are these people that need exposing. Please deal with it, because at the end of the day, it's supernatural beings, I believe, come into these humans that abuse others. I believe, you know, there was jinn in my father that made him sexually abuse me. And we're dealing with something that's, you know, principalities and powers that are beyond our comprehension and beyond our ability to fight them, really, you know. We have to call on our own angels. We have to become magical beings ourselves to be able to fight them back, to ask spirit. And then if we ask spirit, it can get answered. We have to ask spirit. That's the way it goes. If we sit there not asking, it doesn't get answered. But we have to say, you know, call on God and say, you know, I want this, I want that, I want to feel safe, I want, you know, and to help others, I want guidance, and then it will calm. So anyway, I just wanted to say a little bit about what happened about the Shaun Attwood channel, and just in case anybody's confused about what's going on. And so this is going on at the moment. We're basically children in a house with abusive parents. So that's the way it is. Think back to what you would do if you were an abused child in that position. Think back to what you did. I know what I did. I sat in a corner and I plotted and I planned. And I was clever and I was smart. I knew that I couldn't just go there, lean out the window and shout out to the neighbours what my parents were doing. I would have got beaten, or I would have got my YouTube taken down. Okay, so wake up, everybody. All right, take care. Bye.